So today I'm excited because I'm going to be chatting with my senior at work to understand careers in financial due diligence. So introducing Mr. Stephanos.
Thanks, Divya. Great to be here.
Who are the typical clients and what exactly are the deliverables?
So, just to break a common misconception, I see FDD is a lot of people come to FDD thinking that is investment banking. That it's not the same as investment banking. What we do is a mixture of statutory audit and analytical procedures.
What skill sets do you believe are important for an analyst to be able to perform well in this domain?
So a lot of our focus is on your accounting concepts, particularly revenue recognition, where around 40% of our work is focused.
How is the interview structured and what does one need to keep in mind for the interview?
Yeah. So at least for a fresher, we structure it as two parts. The first is an Excel case study, and the second part is we want to understand your approach and how you think about how you go about analysis.
Hey everyone, hope all of you are keeping well and safe. My name is Divya Daga and I am a CA working in the financial services industry. I'm hosting today's Industry Connect session organized by Seekamentor, an online platform that aims to make quality mentorship more accessible and personalized. If you're new to Seekamentor, we are a career mentorship platform with more than 150 experts from diverse industries. We have till date helped over 6,000 mentees through our mentorship programs and initiatives, collaborating with more than 45 institutions. You can also book a one-on-one session with your preferred mentor today. You can just check out the links below the video. So today I'm excited because I'm going to be chatting with my senior at work to understand careers in financial due diligence. So introducing Mr. Stephanos, who is currently an associate director in Deloitte Financial Advisory, Bangalore. He is a CA by profession with over 6 years of experience in the industry. So Ray, first of all, welcome to Seekamentor Industry Connect series and thank you for agreeing to do this. It'll be great if we can kickstart with a brief introduction about yourself and your journey so far. So over to you.
Thanks, Divya. Great to be here. In terms of my journey, I mean, I've been associated with the FDD practice of Deloitte for about 6 years now. Before that, I did my articleship with Deloitte in Calcutta in internal audit, schooling, everything in Calcutta. But yeah, I think in terms of the transition, yeah, I started out in internal audit. Unfortunately, I didn't get stat audit experience because of non-availability of slots. So it was definitely a challenge when I started due diligence. I'll probably get into that a bit more later. But yeah, I certainly have no regrets in transitioning to this field, which I'm in right now. And yeah, I think the career progression has been pretty good so far.
Great. So for anyone who's interested to reach Ray out directly, you can find a link to his LinkedIn profile in the description below. So, while we have heard of many types of diligence like credit, financial, tax, commercial, legal, HR, there's so many types. So we're going to focus on financial due diligence for M&A transactions, which is the mergers and acquisitions, which forms part of the broader arena of investment banking. So we'll probably divide our conversation into two parts. First, in understanding what is FDD, and second second half on careers in this particular domain. For convenience, we shall call financial due diligence as FDD in short. So let's just jump into the questions. So Ray, just to get our perspective clear, where is FDD placed in the whole M&A deal making process, and what is the end goal of an FDD?
Okay. So in terms of FDD in itself, which is just one component of the whole M&A process, at this point, usually when a company is trying to fundraise or go for an acquisition with a target, it's already established a sort of commercial viability for its product. And it is at that point, at least the investor has establish a commercial viability. He's met with the management. He says, okay, the metrics look good. It looks like we can work with this and there could be potential here. But now I want to make sure that everything is really sacrosanct, and what the company representing to me actually the real scenario here. And that's where financial due diligence comes in. So in terms of what we provide as a service, we are helping you to establish an answer to about three areas. One is, what value should I pay for this asset? Second, what are the potential areas of risk that I need to protect myself from by seeking appropriate representations, warranties, indemnities in my transaction documentation? And the third point is, how do I develop my business plan and model, and what are the kind of trends I should factor into that, or based on the discussions of the FDD team with the management on the value drivers of the business, what are the key drivers I should be considering for my modeling assumptions. So it's basically these three areas which are the focus points of an FDD and how we give comfort to our clients. So it's not just accounting, it is also a lot of commercial aspects here in terms of commenting on how a business is performing commercially from a financial standpoint, in terms of understanding the reasons for what they are doing. It doesn't matter whether the company is doing something really well or really poorly. We would still want to explain what are the drivers that led to that performance, and that helps a client to understand, a client or investor to make an informed decision for their investment. So that is pretty much where it stands in the deal making process.
Got it. Okay, and who are the typical clients and what exactly are the deliverables? And also, are there any sub-segments or types of FDD that you would like to highlight?
Okay, to answer your first question on typical clients and what are the deliverables, so there are two types of clients generally. One is the corporate, generally corporate clients who are looking to do a strategic investment. Generally, these are companies who are looking to either gain certain synergies, or they have growth targets and they have to make a choice as to whether they buy the capabilities to grow or develop them in-house. So it's a question of organic versus inorganic growth. So that's what we call a strategic acquisition. And on the converse side, there is the private equity, where private equity or VC or venture capitals who are looking only to participate, who are looking to basically probably invest early and exit at a later stage in time. So their focus is a lot more nuanced in terms of the earning potential of the company, how is its cash flows. I mean, their focus is basically on certain specific parameters in terms of operating metrics and how they want, and basically when they want, what is the time point they want to exit, and at what value multiple they want to exit. So their focus is a little different and a little less. It is basically they're concerned about a lesser number of parameters compared to a corporate client who would be basically taking on everything associated with the business. Now, coming to the second part of your question on subsegments or types of FTD, there are basically two types. Either you're on the buy side or the sell side, or what we call a vendor due diligence. So the buy side is simply when you are working for the investor and they've already identified a target for acquisition and they want you to perform your diligence procedures on this target to help them with their investment decision. The other side of it is a sell side diligence, where the company is interested in going to market. It wants to sell its product, rather raise funds or go for being acquired. And generally in this scenario, they would want to approach multiple investors or even a consortium who's leading a fundraise. And in that case, to streamline that process and make it easier, they initiate a due diligence on themselves, so that a really comprehensive report is prepared on their performance, covering every single area, and that is shared across all the potential investors and consortium, because it, number one, saves time and also helps them iron out any issues they might have in answering the questions of a investor at the time of fundraising. In terms of the focus here, in both cases, we are delivering a due diligence report which covers the performance of the entity, but generally the sell side is a more wider scope, because you don't know what an investor's focus is going to be.
Right.
And you would want to therefore really cover all your bases and ensure every area is adequately commented on in terms of the balance sheet, P&L, performance, etc. On the other hand, in a buy side, you might find that, okay, even there might be data limitations, or even your investor or even your client is only focused on getting comfort on certain specific areas. So our scope gets tailored accordingly there. So it's basically a very wide scope versus a possibly tailored scope to your client requirement. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, sure. And so, coming to these sections on careers now, so somebody who's, very keen on applying and, working in FDD, what skill sets do you believe are important for an analyst to be able to perform well in this domain?
Okay. So just to break a common misconception, I see FDD is a lot of people come to FDD thinking that is investment banking. That it's not the same as investment banking. What we do is a mixture of statutory audit and analytical procedures. So a lot of our focus is on your accounting concepts, particularly revenue recognition, where around 40% of our work is focused. Now, I'm not saying that if you weren't in stat audit, you don't have a hope here, because I came from an internal audit background. Yes, it was more of a struggle because I'd never seen a financial statement in my career, but it was manageable, and I was able to make that transition. And as I said, no regrets whatsoever.
Yeah.
The second aspect is you need to have good Excel skills, because there's a lot of data crunching that we do in our day-to-day work, in terms of preparing data, doing analysis on it, in terms of charts, visualizations to bring out key messages, particularly on commercial trends for our client. So I'd say these are the two areas where you need to develop your skill sets.
Got it. Okay, and just a follow-up question on that. Basically, as an analyst, what's expected out of you on the ground? What does a typical day in the life of analyst looks like?
So we don't call them analysts, we call them assistant managers when they start out with us.
Right.
Yeah, so initially our expectation from you is mainly to handle certain we already know that you have some audit experience, but obviously we're not going to give you the core areas like revenue and revenue, direct cost, margins, etc. to start out with. So we first want you to develop in terms of basically maintaining control over the data itself, ensuring its sanity, making sure data points reconcile, because that forms the base for the analysis that everyone does in terms of crunching the data. Right. So we would also give you more of non-core areas to start with, like payroll, other expenses, specific components of the balance sheets, and basically you would be applying your audit procedures over there to basically get comfort and ask your questions to get comfort on whether these balances and whether these numbers are looking appropriate in terms of run rate, as well as completeness, at least as well as from a completeness point of view. After that, we do start giving you more areas and putting you onto report writing, and basically developing that full skill set with you. Right. Aside from that, in terms of the day-to-day life, yeah, the pressure levels are generally project dependent, so life can be a little unpredictable. Very unpredictable here. I mean, it's not like stat audit where you have a set amount of pressure in a particular part of the year. Right. In due diligence, it really depends on how the project is running, and what the client expectation and deadlines are. But yeah, this is kind of an overall view of what a beginner would be looking at. Got it. And how does the career progression in FDD look like if one were to continue in the same domain, and if one were to say exit from this domain? Okay. So I think in terms of your growth, while you're if you choose to stay in the FDD profile, in the initial stages, the focus is really on learning the work and understanding how to perform it. So the faster you catch on, the faster you're able to complete your projects, and the more experience you gain, the better it is for you, right up to becoming a manager. So in terms of my own career progression, I was able to become manager in 3 years. Based on that. I mean, it was pretty difficult at first, but I was able to manage it, and becoming manager happened pretty fast for me, and my team also pushed for it. So I think at that point in time, don't focus on trying to bring in business, etc. It's not really what's important to you or your seniors. They just want you to know how to do the work, and they want you to be able to rely on you. Right. Effectively. But after you become a manager, the focus changes a bit, and now you are going to be a little more focused on client servicing and ensuring that their requirements are met. Yeah, and you'd be also discussing your findings with them on a regular basis, understanding their areas of concern, and ensuring that that's what's covered. And it becomes more of you start actually managing the overall deliverable. Right. And if you continue to stay, this role continues to develop, and to finally gain partnership, the focus will be on retaining clients as well as bringing in more business. And of course, if you're able to develop that network with your clients and they want to work with you, it definitely builds a much better case for becoming a partner.
Right.
Yeah. And in terms now, supposing you decide you want to leave FDD and you want to move somewhere else, uh, the ideal way to go about it is first ensure that you've at least learned the basic mindset for due diligence in terms of understanding the basic value drivers of a business. And that, which is basically what we do. We understand value drivers and we understand how MIS is developed across various industries. Our team particularly is focused on technology, media, and telecommunications. So there are various sectors involved here. When you have this kind of knowledge, it does help you transition, particularly to business finance roles if you want to move out. And in some cases, we have had colleagues and we've seen people in the industry also move to investment banking and corporate development teams. Largely, these are the areas which FDD and even FP&A, if you really want to go for that. So with a corporate. So, but these are largely the roles where FDD can help you transition to.
Got it. Okay, and now let's talk about the interview process. How is the interview structured, and what does one need to keep in mind for the interview?
Okay, so we generally structure so at least for a fresher, we structure it as two parts. The first is an Excel case study where we want to just test you with basically we create a sample data set for you and ask you to derive certain analysis out of it. What we are looking for is not for you to perfectly derive every analysis. We want to first see that, okay, how comfortable are you in pulling out analysis on Excel, because that's part of our day-to-day, that's a heavy part of the day-to-day activities.
Right.
And the second part is we want to understand your approach and how you think about how you go about analysis, and whether you're approaching data with a particular logical thought process or flow. And those are two aspects that we really want to evaluate when you're doing an Excel case study with you. It generally takes about an hour, and we try and it's a pretty straightforward data set. The only thing is we see a lot of people struggling with it because they haven't even though they've come from audit in big fours, etc. That skill, they haven't really looked at data in that particular way.
Right.
Yeah, and beyond that, we also look at your CV in terms of what you have done, and have a discussion on that. And over and above it, we may also do a diligence case study with you to just test your aptitude for due diligence. What will happen is you'll be given basically an investment banking case study, and we want to, which has various, and we want to get your thoughts on the areas of risk, the areas of the basic areas of risk, what you want to highlight to a client, what you think would be key in terms of the performance of the subject company. So we basically use this structure to evaluate a candidate for diligence.
Perfect. And the last question, you receive a lot of resumes for referrals. So any tips that you would like to share that, one needs to keep in mind when they're sharing their resumes for this profile?
Okay. Yeah, I think, we do get a lot of resumes. I think the one thing I've noted is that sometimes people are not fully genuine in terms of their experience. So my thought is simply, I mean, I've had a situation of a person taking a due diligence CV and just pasting it there without knowing what exactly he was pasting. So, and the person thought that, okay, I'm just going to be asked a few questions. He didn't know that there's going to be a case study involved. So, so it really backfired for him.
Yeah.
So my personal suggestion is, please just be genuine in terms of your experience. Write on your CV only what you can really talk about and answer, because we are going to discuss each of those aspects with you to understand what you have done and whether you understood what you were doing really. So I would say at a fresher level, we are not interested in you knowing everything. We want to know whether your basics are strong, and we want to test you whether you have an aptitude for this work stream. So don't get, and personally, I would say what I've seen in a lot of people is they get a little desperate to get into the role, etc. Personally, I would say that, look, in your first 5 years of your career, you're meant to explore. Not everything is meant to be the opportunity for you. So don't force yourself to to just push yourself into a particular profile, even if you're not interested in it. And just because it looks glamorous on the outside, the realities can be very different. So, I mean, my only point is, even if it doesn't work out for you, don't feel bad. There are plenty of other opportunities out there. And I would say that it's better to, not, I mean, I'll relate it to CA. I've had colleagues who have failed at CPT. And we consider it a blessing because they're like, okay, at least you failed there. We have people who are failing at CA final over and over again after spending so much of time and energy in the course. So if you don't get in, it's fine, but just give a genuine try to it and showcase what you yourself have done in your own experience without feeling like you will be judged for anything less.
That's true, Ray. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you so much, Ray, for sharing your expertise on the topic. And it is also amazing that, I could get the person himself on the platform from whom I'm learning FDD myself. So that's about it. And also a fun fact, basically, I had applied in Deloitte FDD through Ray because he had posted an opening on LinkedIn. So that is how I landed up in Deloitte. So thank you for that. But yeah, thank you again, Ray. That was really interesting to talk about.
Yeah, so I'm also really happy to be part of this, Divya. I mean, I think what Seekamentor is doing is, it's something very relevant because a lot of people need that guide. I definitely did not have this kind of guidance, yeah, in terms of understanding I had no idea what diligence was when I came and applied for it. I just knew I wanted to get out of audit. So, I mean, it's really good to have a platform where that kind of information is being shared and people can at least get that awareness as to what they are looking for. And, if it's really all that they imagine, what the reality is against their imagination. So, I'm really happy to be a part of this and be able to help someone on their journey.
Great. Again, pleasure to have you on board. To the audience, if you have any suggestions on the content or topic that you want us to cover, please do drop in the comment section below. Seekamentor has planned a lot more interesting topics for the upcoming week. So stay tuned. And please also do not forget to subscribe to the channel and follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram to ensure you do not miss out on any updates on the upcoming sessions. So you can find all the links below. And thank you from all of us at Seekamentor. Have a great day.